All right, everyone. We have our guest, Favian Loyola'S here, loud and proud Orlando. How you doing, Fabian? Welcome.
Good,
How's
Luis. How
everything?
are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, good to have you. You know, you've definitely that game against Miami with that play was pretty magical, I would say. And
Yeah,
that definitely the way OCB right now and the form they're doing is phenomenal. And
yeah.
but what is a typical day in the life of Fabian Loyola?
Typical day, man. I mean, same
I know there's a
as
lot of training, probably, right?
loads of training, loads of training. I mean, the process for me right now, there's honestly going to be loads of training since I'm the rookie of the team, and since I'm only 17 years old, I feel like for me, my goal right now is to work on everything as soon as possible, so I could get ahead of some of the guys are at this age in the league that are already 20 in the 20s, and I'm only 17. And so right now, the day of Favian is waking up around like 6:30 in the morning, headed to training, get breakfast. Breakfast there is amazing, and then usually have meetings couple days of the week. Train at 9:30, around 10. After training, some extra work in the field maybe here and there. Um, Recovery, then lift every day. Every day I have my trainer Sergio and the whole staff, Matt. I can name go on Mitch, Tyler. They're do an amazing job. So I have lift after, mostly with Sergio and Matt, and then after that we have our own private chef
Oh
now,
man,
and so
fancy.
things are amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's Keaton, amazing cook. After that, just go home, relax.
Your goal is essentially putting yourself and make so much noise to definitely get into the first team.
Yeah, of course.
Playing the MLS. And then
Yeah,
I know that, and I've read in other interviews, your ambition is to play in the Premier League, and to have
yeah.
that consistency, it's very important, right?
Oh yeah, I mean consistency is everything, man. I mean, especially in a career as a professional soccer player, you have to be consistent in everything you do. I mean, on and off the field. So it's just it's just being a professional athlete at the end of the day, knowing what's good on and off the field.
How
Definitely.
important have your parents been in your development as a soccer player? I mean, I know that coming from an immigrant
Yes.
family, it's
Yeah,
definitely a lot of sacrifice. So, how's that been for
yeah.
you growing up with that?
I mean, my parents have sacrificed everything for me, and especially for my development. We've gone across the world to state to state. So I mean, honestly, they've they've been amazing, both mom and dad. My mom played that role where she didn't know that much of soccer, but she would help me with anything. She would be there for me. Bad good days. She would want me. She would keep me at a high standard always. And same with my dad. Parents will always let me do my job. Will never put that pressure on me of oh, like if you got to do this. No, they'll be like, you know what, like they'll give their opinion first. But my dad
Yeah.
was mostly the one that would train me in the mornings, twice a day, every day, since I was young. Um, but yeah, I mean, they've been great.
So,
I don't know if you're familiar, but we've moved to Chile. We've moved.
yeah, I know. Weston, right?
Yeah,
South
we started
Florida.
out. Yeah,
Nice,
we
right?
started at Weston. Um, Went to Chile, Santiago, Chile, and I played for Católica for a couple, maybe like a year.
Is that your team you support over there in Chile, La Católica?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Man,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
And I know your brother is in La Católica, right?
Yeah, well, he's now playing in Magallanes, so he's over
Oh,
there.
he's playing Magallanes, playing Copa Libertadores, right?
That's
Against,
crazy. I know.
right?
Great opportunity for him, so that's good for him, man.
Yeah. And now, would you be tempted if Chile knocks on your door? I know that you've done the under
Yeah,
17s. It was kind of like like
yeah,
a thorn on your side, you would say. Then they call you for the U19s, and you excelled on that. You were with Granados, your partner in crime, right?
Yeah.
What if Chile comes knocking on your door? Will you answer?
I mean, I want to see a reason not to answer Chile. I think Chile. Chile is obviously my dad's from Chile, so I wouldn't mind answering the doors and wanting to talk to Chile, but they really haven't knocked my doors in a long time, and so honestly, I don't know from this standpoint. I mean, I've had a lot of accomplishments. I mean, I've been with the U19s, um, MVP, All Star,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
still haven't knocked on my door. So I mean, at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for me, and if they're not gonna knock on my door anytime soon,
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, hopefully they do. I don't know, but
Definitely.
they,
How was that experience? Talking about the MLS All Star game, how was that experience playing the All Star game, especially with Alejandro? Right, both of you
yeah, they
actually
haven't
went.
gone out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that experience was amazing, man. From the start, it was just a great experience. I mean, we flew out together with Coach Javi, and Ale, and they had like a nice little like Audi was saying All Star for us, like going
Oh
to
wow.
and the experience and the experience around it was just amazing. The people there, just getting to see my teammates that not my teammates, but guys that were in other teams I'm friends with. So it was just a great experience, and you know, at the end of the day, I made the best out of it. So it was good.
That's great. Now, obviously, and this is something we've noticed here. It's fun to watch OCB play, and
Hmm.
I started watching, and I've been watching the games, and you
Yeah,
see a lot of kind of like a South American like way of play style, like
yeah,
the good a lot of players with good technique, but that has
hmm
to start from somewhere, right?
yeah,
So obviously you have Juninho now in
yeah.
the team. How's that been, that cohesiveness of the team and this great momentum you guys are having recently?
Honestly, we have such great individuals in the team. Um, a lot of new players, and Coach Martin, Coach Manu, they said last year that they're gonna build a team next year that's gonna be powerful, man. And he stuck by his word. And this team right now is amazing. And I mean, like you said, they brought Juninho, they brought a lot of players like Medina, they brought Emmanuel, they brought a couple new players
Yeah,
that really helped the team, man. And like you said, the South American, I wouldn't say South American style play, but we do have a lot of South American players for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But I mean, we do really want the ball. I mean, we're players that really want the ball and are not afraid to have the ball. So I feel like that helps a lot, especially to build that connection on the field. And I mean, we're doing amazing so far. This team is definitely going to be a team that's different, man, for sure.
no, definitely. It's I mean, you guys, that game against Miami was, I think, one of
Yeah.
the silkiest goals I've seen someone scored in a long time. So I do want to say now, how does Coach Javier Carrillo mean to you
Hmm.
for your career development, and how important has his impact been to this current squad? Also,
I mean, Carrillo, he's that guy. Javi's a amazing guy, man. On and off the field, he could develop you mentally off the field, and on the field he could just help you out even more. So I mean, he's in the academy. He was a great development guy for me, especially coach. He was an amazing coach. Always pushed me. He's like I said many times that he's always held me accountable, and I really needed that, especially growing up and then maturing as a player. And so he's always holding me as like a high standard, and he's always been like, you have all this talent in the world that you can't waste. So I mean, he's been amazing, man, and he's definitely helped. I mean, we have Ale in the team too. We have Tair, so he's brought a lot of guys up to OCB, especially. I mean, he definitely is some part of it. He brings that mindset and builds up for OCB and first team. He builds that mindset where you're like, this you can't hold yourself to a low standard. You always have to want more in the field, especially.
Yeah, and it seems that there's the same like culture, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
see it in the academies, you see it OCB, and now you see it in the first
I mean,
team.
yeah, exactly. It all builds up, so that's why I feel like they they prepare every kid, especially in the academy, and and especially training right next to each other. It helps a lot because you know what to expect, and and those players that are not going to be surprised, like, oh shoot, like this. I never like, oh shoot, like, no, you can't. You gotta always like expect, like, yeah, this is real. I mean, I'm 10 feet away from the first team. I mean, I could be there one day, and that's what I always thought in my mind growing up.
Now, how do you know you were going to sign a professional contract with Orlando City? How did that came about?
I didn't even know. My mom knew first. Um, yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I never really, that was always my plan A, man. That was always my plan A. Everyone always told me, "Oh, how about college?" Yeah, I mean, college was obviously, it was a great option. I mean, I could have gone to a lot of great colleges for sure. But I knew in my mind that once I put something in my mind, I'm like, you know what, that's the goal I want to achieve, and I gotta achieve it, man. And so I always put that to my mind, and I just worked hard every day, and I did had a great season, with half of the season of OCB, and then during break, I think it was that they realized that, oh, shoot, this kid really made an impact, and he did his job as, especially as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old playing in OCB, and coming in and making an impact. So I feel like I made that impact, and I left my mark there, and that was just the beginning of me being like, oh shoot, I'm signing, but now I gotta work even harder, man.
No, it's like it's always something to aspire to be
Yeah.
better than yourself.
Uh huh.
You first want to not be a sub, then you want to be in the first
Hmm.
team of your current squad, then you want to get to OCB, and then you want to
Yeah.
get to the first team. I mean, I think it's a step in a ladder,
Yeah.
moving up.
Yeah.
Now,
Exactly.
you've been training with the first team for over a season?
Oh yeah.
Now there's been times you train with the first team. Like, how is that intensity of the first team, like especially in training? Because I've
Huh?
been to some myself as
Yeah.
press, and you could see those guys go all out. So if you balance it with an OCB training, where is it? What are the differences that you would take?
I mean, right now, obviously the sometimes, I mean, a lot of times first team guys are just, they know what they're gonna do before they get the ball. They're sometimes a lot faster, especially. I mean, that's what they get paid for. That's what they get paid millions. Some of the guys, that's what they make more money than some of the OCB guys. But intensity wise, man, competitively, I feel like both groups both have that mindset where everyone's just so competitive, man. So that's what's great about the culture over there in Orlando City. That over here, just everyone has that mindset of being so competitive, both first team and second team. First team, you have, of course, a lot of guys that are exceed that level where they're like, yeah, let's shoot, this guy it's good, man. Like, like Fagu, like those type of guys that are top notch. You know what I mean? So I mean, obviously, there's those type of players who are like, yeah. I mean,
Did you have to nutmeg one of them at some point, huh?
yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, what's going on,
No, yeah.
man?"
Some of the guys take it personal. Some of the guys don't want to
Right?
take it. Like a younger guy megging me. Yeah, it's
Who
good,
who
man.
would you say is the toughest, like out of the current Orlando City backline, like the toughest like defender going, like that you had to face in training?
I mean, they're all tough. I mean, I don't know, man.
You would name one. It's okay.
That back line is scary, man. Especially in training.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
so I mean, Jansen, Antonio Carlos, those guys,
yeah.
center backs, those center backs are harsh. They're harsh.
Now, what has been so far the most difficult part of your journey of becoming a professional soccer player?
Being consistent, man. I mean, like you said, it's it's so easy to say it. Oh, be consistent, but it's so hard to do it. At the end of the day, it's like the first time I was there preseason, in season right now. You really have to build that mindset of switching on and being a professional. It's a different culture, man, and you just have to know what you're doing 24/7, know how to treat your body, know what your body, how much your load is, um, just a bunch of stuff. So it's just adapting to that professional athlete mindset, man. And it was not too hard, but it was kind of a hard switch to be like, you know what, I'm here. I can't think about it too much to a point where like, oh, shoot, yeah, I got here. No, like I'm here now. It's like I gotta work. That switch was kind of hard.
Now, when it comes to the best advice, anyone, it could have been Javier, it could have been anyone in your life, your parents. What's the best advice they've given you about playing the sport?
Oh, that's a great question. So any coach, uh, a lot of coaches have said a lot of things to me, man. Like Coach Javi always,
Like something that got stuck into you, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
oh, like you still remember it, like now.
it's just a lot of knowledge, man. A lot of like knowing yourself, knowing your potential. I mean, Coach Javi and Coach Martin really helped me in that knowledge wise. Coach Javi always be like helping me. I mean, I could probably think of something in the top of my head, but it's just so hard because there's so many things that they said to me, man. That there's so
Yeah,
much.
totally. No, I understand. Now, who's your inspiration as a player? Like in your position right now, like currently, like a player that you'll see and you're like, okay, this is what I want to be, like right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said my inspiration was like Neymar. I mean, the style of play and that guy. But people always be like, "Oh, Neymar, like he's such a bad guy." But he's. I just think that guy, man.
Neymar. No, he's a
Yeah,
phenomenal player. He's I think he's a showman, right? I mean, I think a lot of the good Brazilian mids have been very like
yeah,
good,
uh-huh.
just get given a gift from God, and
Yeah. I
just
know exactly.
playing their game and dancing and all that stuff. It's just part of the way they play, because a
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
in
I
Brazil you
just
play
feel like
on the streets. It's like
that being happy, the way they look playing, man. It's
yeah,
just I don't
they
know. I just
enjoy the sport, right? You could tell.
yeah. So that's what I love most. But I mean, one of the guys I really like is Leo from AC Milan.
Oh, Rafael Leao. Yeah, man,
He's like he's a young talent, man. He's a guy that is he's not afraid. He kind of has that mindset where he gets the ball and he knows what he's doing. He's going for. He's the first thing he's doing is I'm going at the defender.
so
So
you're going for Milan for this year's Champions League.
yeah, and I love
Yeah,
it.
I will love that to happen, though. I'll be honest with you.
Hey,
Yeah.
love it, man. I love Milan is a good team, man. Really good team.
Now, I know that your brother is doing fantastic in Chile, right? Has
Yeah.
that inspire you also? Like, because you had to literally, you guys. I don't know if you guys speak like fluent Spanish. I'm sure by now we probably, get him
Yeah.
probably him better than anyone
No,
else.
him much
Right,
better. Like he got the
right.
accent and everything. He's
So how's that been seeing him thrive there?
it's it's amazing, man. Like at the end of the day, like those are the sacrifices that you're like
Yeah.
that he has to make, and like I'm as a younger brother, man. It's just amazing, man. Because at the end of the day, that's my dream to succeed, to see my family succeed, man. So I'm he's my number one fan. I'm his number one fan. That's how it's always been. Support. That's my best friend. So it's amazing. He's doing amazing things. That kid, his mindset is amazing. So he tore his ACL like what 9 months ago last year, and that kid's still thriving. He's back better than ever, and he just it just makes me happy, man. So it's a great, definitely pushes me.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say, one thing I noticed with you, and I know I don't know you, but one
Yeah,
thing I did notice just watching you play is that, um, you always want more. Like it's
yeah,
like like you're not just content of going down
yeah,
to attack. You are willing to retreat and try to get the ball back. Like, if there's a miss, you try to amend your mistake. Is
yeah.
that truly like your motto? Like you're trying to like always push
I
for
mean,
more?
yeah. At the end of the day, man, I never try to set a limit to myself because a lot of players really are sad. They're too. Some players are too satisfied, and I don't want to be that player where it's like, you know what, I scored a goal. I scored a goal. Like my fans are excited. No, man. If I could get another one, I could get another one, man. So I never they it's about limiting myself, and I never want to limit myself because once you limit yourself, you can't really reach what you want to reach. So I just try to hold myself to a high standard always, and that's what Coach Ivy actually said. Always hold yourself to a high standard, never limit yourself. So
Now,
yeah,
when it comes to uh, your play style, right?
Mm.
From currently from the players now, like who would you say you kind of who do you try to like? I wouldn't say emulate because I think everyone is genuine, but
Yeah, of
I
course.
said like who's your
Most similar style plays.
correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, me and Faco have similar style plays, man.
Yeah,
Like me and both lefties. People say, "Oh, he's a lefty. He's using
kind
his
of in
left."
the middle.
So yeah, we still go to our left. So somehow both creative. Both have that thought of mind of always wanting to do something. So really want the
Be that
ball.
impact player, right? Be that game
Yeah,
changer, right?
exactly. So that's. I mean, I think that's what he always has in his mind is to always change the game, and that's what players like us. That's what we try to do. At the end of the day, is change the game, and that's what we get paid for. So
Exactly, and just kind of going into the national team,
yeah,
the U19s. How was that experience with the U19s? You had to travel with Alex Freeman.
yeah.
You also got to be with Alejandro Granados, I think, as well, right? Rodrigo
Well,
Ne. No, no,
not
no.
really added too much because he's in the youngers. But Thomas, I had
Yeah,
traveled with,
Thomas Williams. Yeah,
but it's amazing, man. I love especially traveling with teammates. That's seeing players like young players like Freeman, Thomas, um, that are like in my age group, or is amazing to be honest.
yeah.
Because
And both of you guys, I mean, physically, you guys, I mean, have like bulked up, man. Compared to one season ago, like,
yeah, I know.
and you could see Alex too, like performing very well in OCB, and you also
Yeah,
excelling there. So
yeah.
it's just a process, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's a process. Yeah.
Now, have you talked to Oscar and the guys from the first team? Like they come and talk to you here and there. Uh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's always they're always there for to give players like advice, and so I mean, here and there, I'll chat with them in the gym, and it's nice, man. I mean,
here,
good
here,
environment.
here we say that I think the tournaments for to mix both squads, OCB and the first team, is this U.S. Open Cup and Leagues Cup. Would you? I mean, what would it meant to you being called up to being the first team representing Orlando, like with maybe a mix up of OCB and Orlando City? How would you feel? And I know that if they give you the opportunity, like you're gonna definitely like grab the brass ring. You see that type of guy to me.
I would that stuff that would get me so like that would push me, man. That would push
Yep.
me to a great different Favi, man. I mean, always there's I like to push myself a lot mentally, but I mean, honestly, that would be an opportunity of I would love to have and enjoy, man. I mean, that's that would be amazing, man. I wouldn't even have words to, especially to play. I always see the fans, man. I feed off that, man. That gets me any
Yeah,
like mad to like be go out in the field and like just play, man. So I mean,
I
I
know
love
that the game against Miami, there were a lot of ILF members that went to the game. How would
yeah.
that? What did that mean to you? I mean,
It was good, man. I spotted that in the beginning, and I was like, that that brings a different player, man. Especially for a player like me, that really inside that pushes me, man. It drives me. It's like I couldn't even imagine when I one day hopefully to get my opportunities explore and to be like, you know what, there's even hundreds of people like that. I couldn't even imagine. Imagine with only like 20 guys there versus Inter Miami. I mean, that pushed me so much. Like
yeah.
hearing those guys, like, hey, I couldn't even imagine how I would do with hundreds. I mean, to be honest, people always say, yeah, you're gonna be nervous, but that's something to enjoy, man, because that's everything's hard in life, but if you enjoy it while it lasts, that's something that I always put into my mind. I'll love it.
Now, is it true that when people celebrate goals, like they just come about, or people actually plan to celebrate their goals a certain way? As a soccer player, I'm just saying a general question.
As a son, I didn't, for me, I usually don't plan my goals, like my especially my celebrations. I used to when I was a kid, but I haven't like first celebration was kind of crap. Can I did like six celebrations. I was so happy. I haven't scored in like 6 months, man. I was like, because I just came back from an injury. I don't know if you knew, but I just came back from an injury. I was like excited just to get back. That joy. I was just so like, man, like I'm back, man. I love being here. Like I just love feeling the pitch, love getting that environment. And yeah, it was just. I mean, I don't really plan my celebrations. I always have one celebration. Some knee slide with like the go like that.
Oh, that's
But
great.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I wanted to first and foremost thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for being here at A Lot of
yeah,
Pride
of course, man.
Orlando. We would love to have you more again, probably, hopefully, the next episode.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah,
But again, I know that the future is definitely bright
yeah.
in purple, and I think you're a huge part of this. So
Thank you,
thank
man.
you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you for having me, man. Yeah.
No, and well, vamos Orlando, right?
Sí, vamos Orlando,
Vamos
vamos.
Orlando.
Buddy, I think you're muted.
Hey, welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando Live. Thank you so much. April 24th, 8:30 p.m. Thank you for being with us. I want to thank Fabian Loyola. He was here with us. It was a fantastic conversation we had with him. Uh, OCB and the great moment they're having. Definitely he's a huge part of this, and I repeat it once again. The future is bright in purple. So there's a lot of positive happening in the club aside of everything else. But it's been a busy weekend and another home loss for Orlando City, unfortunately, against DC United. We will discuss that. Also, we will discuss what's next for Orlando against LA Galaxy. I will say a must win game at home. And then obviously, we'll take all your comments. Drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up. What's up, John? How you doing?
Good, buddy. I just really enjoyed listening to Fabian's thoughts there and getting to know him a little bit better and learning more about what will be hopefully a future star of Orlando City, right? I mean, there was a lot of positives to hear, like his the way he was talking about the pathway being laid out in front of him,
Exactly.
that he was getting to that's really encouraging signs to see that he can see where that's going, and the excitement around him talking about getting a first team start maybe in the Open Cup or the Leagues Cup. So I think that's something that we will likely see at some point this year. I think it would be harsh on him if it went the whole season and he didn't get a single start. So I'm excited to see that happen, and also I just think he's clearly just a really great guy, and he's super focused for someone at that maturity at 17, and you can see with like how they start with these young soccer players so young to get that level of discipline and maturity that he's got at his age already is where you need to be. Like that's if you're talking about your top players in the world, that's where they're at 17, and he's already on that right path. So MLS, Europe, wherever he wants to go, I think he's got a huge potential, and I'm excited to see where in 4 or 5 years Favian's playing. Hopefully, he's still here and scoring goals for Orlando City. But as we know, sometimes players get too big for us, and we gotta let him go to Europe. So maybe eventually we're kind of seeing him go on to even bigger things than us. But for now, I'm excited to see him get some starts for Orlando City, and I think he's an exciting player, dude. He is.
Oh no, definitely. And I do want to tell everyone to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for everyone that's watching live. I also want to thank everyone that's listening to this podcast right now. Thank you so much for subscribing to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Double click on the bell for all notifications so you know when we're live. There's a lot of more content coming to Loud and Proud Orlando fairly soon. So thank you so much for all the support you've been providing us as your outlet for Orlando City. Um, you know, Diving into the game against DC, right? I mean, I'm
Wait,
gonna.
one more thing about
Yeah,
Fabian. I was a
yeah. Go
little
ahead.
disappointed that he chose Neymar as his inspiration. I love Neymar. I love the style of play. I can totally see where it is. I just
No, of
don't
course.
just don't become Neymar-esque in the amount of dives that he's got going on. We don't.
Uh,
I don't want my players falling on the floor every 5 minutes. And Neymar for me is one of the
uh,
worst at doing that. So don't
no,
take that.
but
I mean,
but
take
but
everything else he does. Just don't do that, please.
he did said that it was because the happiness that Neymar plays the sport. Like
He
every
plays. He's
Brazilian
enjoying it.
player, right? And I think that's the way it should be. For some players, right? Especially in his
I can
position,
see
right?
that in him though. He's just
Yeah.
really enjoying what he's doing. He said that so many times that you feel his passion for his day-to-day life and just being a professional soccer player.
Yeah, it's incredible that at that young age, like you said, he's so into his career already. So I would imagine 10 years from now, like geez, he's gonna be, the sky's the limit, right? And I think that's a huge step forward in the direction and the culture of the club. And a lot of people overlook at that. I mean, we're developing young, exciting talent that here in 2, 3 years or less, they can break out and they could end up playing your favorite team in Europe, right? So coming strictly from the City Beautiful, which is fantastic, makes it even good for the city as a club, as a city. Orlando becomes that soccer city in Florida, which I think everyone in the state wants to aim to that, right? So very excited for Favian. I wanted to thank Orlando City Communications for the opportunity. And anyways, man, I think everyone wants to talk about what happened against DC.
Do
Uh,
we have to? Can we just not? Can we just like
no,
take a week off?
no,
Can we come
I
back
was,
next week? Is that right? Yeah,
I
like we
mean,
don't need to talk about it.
look, I'm gonna say this. It was, disaster. It was complete disaster. That's the only way I can sum it up. The back line of three defenders works with certain teams, and I mentioned it. And when our win backs are in their 110% attention span, when they are doing that job, and or maybe when they don't have the same competition, so or there may be lesser competition to them, but on those win backs in DC, we had Ruan. He kind of already knew the system, and it was just, in my opinion, also a little bit of a giveaway tactically. When it came to deciding, who to plug in there, right? And I'm gonna make it completely like honest, in my opinion, right? Now, what were your takes from the get-go, from Orlando, John?
I mean, I think the formation, it's we talked about it last week, and we kind of got away with it against Minnesota. And I thought if he's going to play it again, then surely they would have worked on things that went wrong in Minnesota. But what happened was it was the same problems we had against them, except for DC was a bit more clinical, right? And we talked about the fact that you've got three center backs in there, none of which are particularly fast. And when you play this formation, you need center backs who can cover in behind your wing backs who are fast off their feet. You also, you need to have, in my opinion, three very good center backs. And we've got like two center backs that are performing at their level, kind of, and one who I personally don't think should be a starting player in Schlegel. I think that he's more of a backup center back. So, and Janssen for me is not done well this season. He's looked really slow this season. Like you've seen him get burned multiple times with balls over the top. So when you play a formation like this, your center backs have got to be big, strong, athletic guys. So I don't necessarily think we have the players to play this way anyway, but Oscar did it last week. We kind of got away with it. So he tried it again this week. And I think this week it was kind of naive of him because, like you said, the wings for DC is their like biggest strength, and they play a 4-4-2. And
Correct.
so when the 4-4-2 happens, what you end up is Schlegel and Antonio have to cover because they're then also playing left back and right back because you've got an overload. You've got the fullback in Juan essentially playing as a winger because they're so attacking, and their left back also I can't remember who was playing left back for them, but he was also really attacking as well. So then you got overlaps essentially on our fullbacks, our wing backs, and it created serious problems. But more than that, I think the real issues came in the box, right? Like I just don't think we fought hard enough in the box. Like I went back and I watched the goals and I wrote down like because I always like to see who is actually at fault. Like everyone likes to blame generally on this player or that player. Like you go back and watch the first one. Schlegel runs about 20 yards into the midfield, completely leaving all that space that he's supposed to be covering. Janssen then has to cover that space. He can't fast enough. Juan is in, easy ball to Fontas. The second one, Arujo just gets knocked over. Like last year, I would never say that would happen to Arujo last year. This year, that's way too easy for Donovan Pines to just knock him off the ball and score that goal. And then the third one, Benteke is wide open.
Wide open.
No one's anywhere near him. And like Janssen is to blame on that one. Or Antonio. Because Schlegel, he's only 5'11". The guy cannot mark Benteke. So someone should have been assigned to Benteke. It was probably Robin Janssen, if you ask me, because he's that center of the three center backs. And he, again, just wasn't anywhere near him. And it was Benteke had so much time to take that ball down and put it in the box. And I watched it. It was like it happened in slow motion when I watched it live. I was like, no, he's that, yeah. Okay.
No, yeah,
That
me
was
too.
that
I
was
was
just
just like,
the
Benteke just scored
cherry
on
on
us.
top of the badness that was our
Correct.
defending that game, and it was just really frustrating
Yeah,
and disappointing.
people. Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing for everyone at the stadium for sure. People were leaving at minute 85, 87 already. They were like, we're done with this. Definitely, I'm not gonna criticize the fans. I think they're allowed to feel that way. And certainly we're going to read some comments, and then I'll go into my some things that I picked up out of the game. Daniel Phillips, I love Rodrigo, but he does have a short attention span. He forgets his job and ends up running an overlap on the wing. That's true. Daniel Phillips, our center backs are getting burned badly with speed this season. Correct. Calling OCSC, not seeing the same fight from this team. They hang their heads and don't seem to have the same fire we used to. And he has that that picture from that poster. It's the cursed poster.
That's what Arujo should be looking like when he's running at people in defensive mid, right? They should be seeing that coming at them, not someone who gets knocked off the ball as easily as he did.
Yeah, so definitely the lineup. I don't think for against this squad worked because they had better win back power. DC had better win back power. Um, I think Rooney was able to make Ruan work, and Ruan is actually fit. And when you give the spaces to somebody that literally overpowered uh, the whole that whole section, that whole flank, he was just back and forth, back and forth. You got to make sure that you're able to stop him. And I think everyone was trying to do that double duty and leaving their positions completely vulnerable for other players in DC to make their plays. Now, personally, one thing I take out of this, I believe, and this happened in the second half, when Torres started playing the 10, Orlando started moving the ball. Started moving the ball a little bit more. To me, I think that maybe for some games, we should maybe rest Mauri out and put him as a 10, put Facundo as a 10. Gaston Gonzalez had a lot of wear and thread. He was being he had that um, challenge with Ruan. The whole first half, I think he definitely tried to keep up to Ruan as much as he could, but then after that, Ruan took over, right? And I think it's just a matter of I see Gonzalez more of an attacking winger, not so much a defensive winger. And I'm not saying that he's a bad winger. He's a phenomenal winger. His record in Argentina backs him up. I'm just saying in this formation, you could use this formation for certain teams, not for every single team. That's the way I feel. I feel like it. Now I'm going to show you guys the lineup against the lineup for DC right here. Wait, hold on, right here.
I feel like the other problem we had was in the midfield, Luis. I think that when you play this system, you only have two guys in the central midfield, so they have to be doing a lot of work on both sides of the ball. And as we know about Mauricio, he doesn't do a lot of work defensively, so it kind of just leaves Arujo as the only guy who's trying to win the ball back in the middle of the park. Hence, that's why Schlegel steps up forward to win the ball a lot, and Janssen tries to step up and win the ball a lot because they're having to cover for Mauricio as well. I think that he's a luxury that we can't afford when you only have two central midfielders like that. I think he's better at the 10 with two guys behind him doing the hard work so he can just attack. I don't trust him to defend. Honestly, I don't. Like if you watch, he does he's walking most of the game. And we surprised he was never really that athletic, and he's 33 years old now. So we're asking him to be more of a defender than he's ever been before in his life, and I don't see it.
Now, Ivan Angulo too. He's more of an attacking winger. Now the thing is, Ivan Angulo has that speed to do that wear and thread, just like Ruan did. when he was in part of Orlando City now.
Well, and he wants to do that. That's the
Right.
difference. It's like
And right.
you can have the ability, but are they motivated?
And also he stuck by what Oscar says because of what happened in Palmeiras. In Palmeiras, he wasn't getting any breaks to start. He wasn't getting any breaks in the first team. He was sent to the reserve. So he wants a piece of the pie now that he's in Orlando. He wants to stay in Orlando. So he will do, if Oscar puts him as a keeper, he's going to be a keeper. See what I'm saying? So, but what was the start of the debacle here for DC? Teixeira and Paulson had a phenomenal game. Then I would say Klitsch and Santos had a great game as well. Now, what's the common denominator here? The wings. And what that created, that when DC was going in transition, Benteke became more forward and Funtas became more of a 10. He became that 10. And Funtas and Klitsch started linking because Orlando was leaving spaces, and Funtas capitalized. That one-on-one against Galese, there was nothing Galese could do. He tried. There's nothing he could do. It was a great goal.
But I would also say that you see they have O'Brien and Knudsen. They're two hard-working defensive midfielders. Both of those guys worked harder in the midfield to win the ball back whenever DC lost it. So you've got the solidity of that. And I think that's what we should do, Luis. Like, this is what, get back to a flat back four, get two defensive midfielders in front of it, and get some solidity back, because the defensive play and the defensive, work over the last 3 or 4 games has gotten worse. And at the beginning of the season, that was kind of what we were holding on to. It was like, oh, we're pretty solid. We only concede like 1 a game, but we can't really score yet. And now it's like, okay, we can score a few, but we're starting to concede a lot. So Oscar, if he has anything, he's a defensive guy, right? So if he loses that, what are we if we don't defend well,
4-2-3-1. I mean, it worked for many teams. It has worked for Orlando too when Nani was with us. 4-2-3-1. MLS is back.
Yeah. Or I would go the 4-3-3 and play
that also.
Play Mauricio and Dagger Dan with Arujo, and
right.
and I think the thing is he didn't have a right back. But for me, it's like, okay, Kyle Smith's not having a great game, but do you really want to play this formation again
against LA?
If Mikey's not back again and he plays it again against LA, like I don't understand where the logic is behind that. Like Schlegel could play right back, right? I saw somebody talk about that on Twitter. I think, I don't know who that was. I apologize, but there are people who could fill in at right back. Give Alex Freeman a shot. Why not? Right? I just think we're better off with a solid back four and 2 defensive midfielders if we, than playing this formation that we just don't have the center backs for. Like, and we don't have the wing backs for it really either, because as much as they're attacking, they're not defensive. So it's a very specific players you need to make this formation work, and we don't have those players, and that's what it comes down to.
Yep. And I appreciate everyone leaving your comments. Daniel Phillips, even though we're not in the box as much as we want, where is marked improvement for earlier in the season? The heat map shows it. Yeah. There's improvement. I mean, I just think that we need to stick to 2 systems and know. I mean, we need to know where to give our players, our veteran players, a rest too, and put other players that may cause some impact. Like, for example, what is one positive that we take out of this game? Duncan McGuire. He's a beast.
I mean, what a touch! Did you see that touch with his left?
Yeah, man. It was he just the Holland of the Heartland, man. There you go. Everyone. I said that at the box when I say hi to Alonso. He laughed. He's like, "What the hell did you just say?"
He didn't know that one.
No, he didn't know that.
On, tell Alonso he's got to do his research on his MLS draft picks, because we knew that one.
The Helen of the Heartland, and I mean, what a game he's having. He's definitely on his way to dethrone Daryl DK, right? I mean, that's what Matthew Doyle said. I mean, fantastic news for Orlando that their front office knows how to pick out good draft picks. Obviously, Luis Musi's a beast, same as Ricardo. I mean, nothing to say, but he definitely was something positive I take out of this game. The rest, I would say, and let's read some more comments. Colin says, Facu seems frustrated. When Duncan scored, Facu just turned around and jogged back into the midfield. No celebration or emotion.
I
Daniel,
noticed that. I did notice that.
Daniel Phillips, we have the D-mids to pull this off. Right. I wholly agree. I've been saying it. I wanted to see Doug Arden in this game. Dagger was supposed to be in this game. If you truly wanted another one that was a little bit dynamic, Cartagena, but I will say Dagger Dan, to me, he's more of that classic 8. Daniel Phillips, Ojeda Duncan connection is real. Yeah, that's another positive that I take out of this game, right, John? I think the Ojeda Duncan connection.
I think Ojeda is, even though he's not doing always the right things, I see positivity from him more. I see him like getting involved in the play more and linking up with guys more. And I think he's going in the right direction. Torres, I don't know. It seems like he's going the other way. I didn't see anything from this game from Facu that really got me that excited. Did you? I mean, can you think of a moment where you thought, oh, there was Facu doing something, had a really good shot or
No,
try?
no. I think that to be honest with you, and this is my personal opinion. This is not. I'm not speaking for anyone else. Or my personal opinion is, I think Facu needs to have a talk with Oscar, and definitely say, hey, let me play. Let's look at the calendar. Maybe I could play as a 9, as a second attacker on a 4-4-2, or maybe I would like to try the 10, because in Peñarol he played the 10. And he did pretty well because he was so free to be that glue to the formation of Peñarol. And they had so many success, a great success, like Borat would say, great success in Copa Libertadores with Facundo Torres. And he had as a striker Fernando Canovio, which was now he plays in Atlético Paranaense in Brazil, doing great. So, like, maybe that's it. I mean, Orlando right now has Duncan McGuire in great form. Erjan Kara that came in like 5 minutes, like 10 minutes.
No, was it? Hold on, wasn't Ertron the first sub?
Huh?
No, sorry, Ramiro was the first
Yeah,
sub.
Ramiro. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
Ertron was the first. He came out at the same time Rafael Santos in the 65th, and then Dagger
right,
down in the 68th.
right. So Orlando has some of that classic pivot number 9, but I feel like in the mid we're losing the ball tremendously. We're turning over the ball a lot too. And obviously, we're not here to point out and cause a fuss. And we're sticking to the tactics. And I think we need to learn how to play with 2 defensive midfielders, just like you said, John, and at 10, 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, whatever floats your boat. But I feel like going back to a classic formation.
I think it's like if he wants to play Mauricio, he needs to play 2 other guys next to Mauricio, because Mauricio just, like I said, doesn't do the work that he needs to do. I would love to see Dagger Dang get a try. Like, I think if you're gonna drop anyone, I think the Dagger Dan deserves to come in there and get a spot. But he's so, he can play so many different positions. So I think also it's interesting if we go back to the 4-2-3-1, like Angulo, then is he staying in the team for you? Like, is he done because he's still scoring, he gets to go back in the wing, and you've got Facu in the 10 and Ojeda on the other wing. I mean, is that we're going to go back to that game plan?
No, I agree. I mean, seriously, like,
Also, Cartagena, like why not have 2 true defensive midfielders in there? What, Arujo and Cartagena with Mauricio in the 10 if he wants to keep playing Mauricio.
no, I agree. I mean, I think there is options for a number 8. It's just that Oscar. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I highly doubt that was in. Like, look for example, right here. Look, we're playing it. simple. Look, that was a good hustle for Mauricio, right? That's another good ball for Mauricio, but too long. But again, Ruan knew where to be. Ruan knew where to be. Like he knew his position well because knowing that he already played in Orlando, he knew where they were going to attack, and he was just telling DC, "Hey, step back there, stay right there." I think there was a little bit of predictability from this team, in my opinion, and Rooney just capitalized. You know, I don't know, but a lot of we have not gotten really good vibes with wearing those one-off like Earth jerseys, man. I don't know. And then maybe put some sage or something. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I mean they haven't been great for us. I really like them. I think they're cool. I think it's
yeah,
an
yeah,
interesting initiative. I don't like that the MLS makes everybody around the league wear them. I think that's a
yeah.
little bit imposing, right? It's a little bit like, hey,
Oof, that was close.
I think it's a fun initiative, and sometimes they're cool and they are a nice idea. They're made completely out of recycled materials. If anybody didn't know, that's the whole thing. Is they're supposed to be made out of, I think, plastic bottles from the ocean. And so yeah, it's they're kind of fun. I like the light blue one. I don't really like DC's so much. I think that's it looks a little
Yeah, yeah.
dated the
Just
way
look
the
at the
lines
goal.
are.
Look at Duncan's goal right here. Like from the bureau. Like that touch was
It
like
was the touch
perfect.
with his left foot on the
Yeah,
outside of his foot, and like a lot of people would have gone for the right foot on that, but he trusted himself to get the ball where he needed it to with his left.
yeah. And it was under the. It was like almost like a nutmeg.
When he went through, I was in my head. I was like, "Nah, he's got this." Like I didn't even
Yeah, yeah.
think for
Same
a
here.
second, which is like the sign of a striker that is already like, okay, this guy just
He's
scores
hot.
goals. Yeah,
Yeah,
like it
he's
was the
yeah.
same way when DK used to go burning through. I'd be like, oh, Daryl's scoring this, right? Or when Kyle would have a good opportunity, I'd be like, Kyle's going to put this in the back of that. Or if we're going to go really far back, like Dom Dwyer, like every time Dom Dwyer back in USL days used to burn into the back of the box, I would always be like, well, Dom's going to score this, and that's kind of how I starting to feel a little bit with Duncan. Like he seems to know where the goal is regardless. He's clinical and it's taking his opportunities, which for a rookie is awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel Phillips, this is that goal was perfect pressing situation. Dunk, AC, Ojeda, dunk, boom, goal. Yeah. Uh, I mean
Maybe
that's
we don't need a playmaker. Maybe we just want to be like Nashville and just counterattack everybody. Like if Oscar wants to be defensive, like let's just do that, and then have Ojeda and Faku just put long balls in over the top for them and McGuire and run onto them. Like it won't be pretty soccer, but I feel like sometimes we're spending so much time on that build up, Luis. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
we're kind of like tiki taka around, and I think a lot of that comes from Mauricio because that's what Mauricio wants to do, and he's like, he's the leader of the team, and so I think that in some ways when you remove him, we play a little bit more aggressively because it doesn't flow through him. It's a similar thing I see happening is to when we had Kaká and when we had Nani, and they were kind of like, this is the guy that everything has to go through. The same thing is with Mauricio, but Mauricio's not quite as attacking as them, so sometimes it's a bit slow.
No one gives them a shout out, but I'm gonna give them a shout out to Opta, the people that take all the data at the stadium. Great
The
guys.
people who put the training bras on all the dudes.
Exactly. Opta. Thank you so much, Opta. They'll do a fantastic job, and they're always there at the press box. We there's a lot of working done at the press box, guys. We don't just go there to eat the free food. We go there and we work. We work hard. 412 passes for Orlando City in this game. 412 passes, total passes, right? DC United, 350, right? Now, passing accuracy in the second half, DC had 83.1% accuracy in all their passes, while Orlando had even better passing accuracy. That was when Faku started playing more open in the 10, right before that. So 55% possession of the ball to 47% possession of the ball for DC United. Like you said, we need to convert. That possession needs to be conversion of goals. How do
And
we do
when
that?
that, like Daniel Phillips was saying, that attacking, counter-attacking goal from Ojeda to Duncan was exactly like almost like how we play away from home because we don't think that we should have
Right,
the ball. We don't play like
exactly.
the possession team, and so we just attack when we have the ball. And it's like, how do you instill that mindset? And at home, it's like, don't we don't need the slow build-up. We just need you guys to be more aggressive, more direct. Like that's the word. It needs to be a more direct style of play. Also talking about stats, Luis. I noticed this one, which is really bad. Defense tackles won 50%. Only 7 tackles were won.
Correct.
So if you're missing half your tackles, there's no wonder they're scoring 3 goals on us. You got to be getting like 75, 80, 90% of your tackles in, because if not, people are going straight through you. Same with clearances. DC made 33 clearances. We made 11 clearances. I think it says like we couldn't clear the ball, we couldn't tackle, we couldn't stop the ball from coming in from wide positions. It was defensively it was a nightmare, really. Let's be honest.
And I want to thank one creative for the pictures here. Thank you so much to George. He has a phenomenal job. We're gonna put a post. I've been delaying this for the longest time, but we'll have an appreciation post for those guys, because without them, I mean, look, they do a phenomenal job. So you know, it was I was like a lesson, man. That was my face throughout the game. To be honest with you, that was exactly my face. I'll be honest with you. I was. I mean, it was just bad, man. It was just a horrible game. Now, we already said some of the mistakes and some of the errors, and Oscar came to the post press conference. The footage is on our YouTube. You guys can check it out. Martin Ojeda and Gaston Gonzalez spoke to media, and we have the caption so you guys can understand what they said. Some of the things Oscar said was, it's a very disappointing night. Not getting the results at home. It's just getting the consistency here and not getting our points at home creates that disappointment. Apart from that, the development of the game, I thought it was very hard and it did not flow and we couldn't find that rhythm. Now, when he says we couldn't find that rhythm, why do you think that is, John? I mean, I feel it's maybe because of the lineup.
Dude, I don't think we found our rhythm all season. Let's be honest. Come on. Like, really, when have we looked like we're 100% flowing and ticking? I think there's been moments in every game, right? There's been like 20 minutes of every game or 30 minutes of every game, but we need a whole game where we look like we're cooking, and we just haven't seen that yet. So yeah, I it's hard to defend Oscar on this one. Really, I don't really have much to say in favor of this performance. And I think that I think he should have been more harsh on the players. I think he kind of protected them a little bit on this one. Yes, he did make some tactical errors in his formation, but also, like we said, defensively, they were weak, right? So
yeah,
I think Oscar should call them out and say they didn't play well enough today, because they didn't. And the fans know that. So when he doesn't say that, it makes him look worse, even though sometimes it's not all on him, right? It's sometimes the players aren't playing well, even though it's not 100% Oscar's fault. A lot of it, could be on him, but some of it's on the players.
Now, we'll read some of your comments. Keep dropping them. Thank you so much. We'll read them in just a second. Thank you so much for your support. They asked him too, okay, what needs to change moving forward, right? And I said, to win games, you must score goals. At the very least, score more goals than the opponent, right? When we go through periods where we have no consistency, where we win difficult games on the road, but at home in front of our fans we lose, that is tough to deal with. When we play at home, we're looking for solutions to win. What I invite the coaches and our players to do is to take a minute, breathe, and try to fix the situation. But once again, I am ultimately responsible. I am the head coach. I get paid to do this. This is a very hardworking group, very noble with a lot of energy. This group is trying to do the job right. We're missing some continuity, but we cannot get desperate. I have always respectfully told our fans that we know how important it is to win at home, not only because we must win, but because we're playing in front of them, and their support tonight was great. This is why this loss hurts, but we're going to keep our heads up and move forward. So those are the words of Oscar Pareja at the post press conference. All the footage, it's on our channel, so subscribe, drop us a like. I think Gaston Gonzalez had a great game in the second half. I think on the first half, sorry, first half, then you could start seeing that physically he was getting tired, and as you get tired, then you start losing the grip. I think maybe making some of the substitutions a little sooner would have maybe changed make him more of like a change of
But
pace player.
also, we don't have the subs for that. Like, Santos came on and started playing like
Yeah.
left-sided center back. I was like, the dude can't play left back. He can't play left-sided center back. I don't know where that idea came from. So Gaston, was easily replaced by Santos in that same formation. So should have been replaced earlier. Petrasso, I think, was out with a knock, so he wouldn't be able to come in. But Gaston could have been, and like you said, Ruan has it on stamina, right? They might be pretty close on pace. Ruan's probably a little bit faster, but on stamina, he wasn't there. He's still coming back from. I know he was out for a whole year, but it takes a long time to get back up to your full peak for a player. And you could kind of see that after about 65 minutes or so, he really was tired. And I think he should have come off earlier. I think you're right.
Yeah, and he was frustrated. I mean, I could definitely sense when he came into the post press conference. You can sense. I mean, you could tell. I mean, you don't have to be a medium. You don't have to be Tony Robbins or see people's chakras or whatever. You can just sense with somebody walking into the room and you see him upset. He was physically, visibly upset. But he said, LA is a new beginning. LA, like I think him and Martinez, like LA, we're ready for LA. We're gonna be ready for LA. And so the hunker down, he says, thank you so much. Phenomenal picture. I love your picture, my friend. It's an awesome picture. I think, is that a puppuccino? I'm gonna get it from my dog sometime.
It's a pup cup.
Pup cup.
Yeah.
Nice stuff.
Pup cup or a puppuccino, depending on where you go.
There you go. Orlando's issue is very simple so far. All three DPs not producing currently will not be successful in the MLS without DPs producing. That, I mean, he has a point. I mean, look, Facundo definitely not the same Facundo last season. That is completely true. Erjan Kara, he came in a minute. Oh, Erjan Kara came in at substitutions.
Check your notes.
64-21. There you go. Got my notes. 64.
Precisely.
Yep, precisely. There you go. Thank you, Opta. Calling OCSC. We've been figured out. The opponents have been the protagonists so far this season. At home, yes. And we've been the protagonists away.
Yeah. We're like it's like the opposite of what it should be, It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And also trying to understand like where the points are going to come from. It's like usually I'd be like, oh, the home games against the easy teams. Like now I'm like looking at like what's the hardest away game, because we're going to get 3 points from that. I could tell you, right? So, it's like the opposite. Looking at the schedule and planning out the difficult away games to go pick up road points instead of at home. It's crazy to me that it's happening this way. And it's almost like, I think there are problems with the team and everything else, but the fact that we can win away and not at home is baffling. I don't understand it. And I think the consistency is all over the place, right? Win, lose, right? So at this point, I'll take 3 draws just to try and stop something. Like let's end the cycle of like.
But hey, we did that.
Let's take some draws at home. Maybe that's what we need. We need to build up to a home win. It's weird, dude. And I feel that the LA game has got that same vibe hanging over it, like the DC one, where it's like, are we just gonna lose again at home? Like it could happen, and
no,
it would suck, but it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me this is the game, and it is against a team that personally I respect a lot for what they meant to the league for many years. The hunker down. That's Coco, the chocolate lab with a pup cup. There you go. Thank you, man. Beautiful, beautiful puppy. I'll have to say. So it brings us to Orlando versus LA Galaxy. The five-time, like Booker T, five-time MLS champions, right? Back in the back, back when FIFA was cool, right? Probability of winning 43% Orlando City, 30% LA. According to Google, 27% of people believe that it will be a draw. I don't think a draw will help us a lot because now we have gone to ninth. You know, we're right there, and we've pretty much gave life to DC United. We pretty much CPR DC and woke them up a little bit, and they're now eighth. Do you feel like this is a must-win game for Orlando?
I mean, all home
I think
games
so.
at this point are must-win games.
I
Like
mean,
that sounds ridiculous to say, but it's true.
19,000 people saw Orlando lose last game.
Yeah,
19,541. Yeah.
it's a must-win game for several reasons. One, placating the fans. Two, getting some goals and a win at home to keep the attendance levels up. And three, I think just because Oscar needs to get this not winning at home, funk, bad juju, whatever it is, it needs to be cleansed from our system. So it needs to be gone. Like we just need to get that win at home and say, okay, whatever that was is over, and we can win again. Head to head against LA Galaxy, they've won three. We've won three in our history in MLS. I remember back in 2015, the first time we played them, they came to us, and this is 2015 squad, by the way. Remember, we beat them 4-0 at home. That was a great day. We've had some good results against LA. We've only lost to them once at home. We've beaten them twice at home. So we don't do so well when we go there, but that's to be expected, right? So I think there's no reason we can't win this game. I would say on a similar level to DC where LA are at right now, like they won their last game. They've got some good players who might be coming back into form. So they can be dangerous, but at the same time, they're not having a very good season. So we should be able to capitalize and win the game, like especially at home when we need to be able to winning at home. And this is one that's begging for a win, Luis.
Correct.
Please, is begging for a win.
It will be a wake up call. Hopefully, if it's a win for Orlando, not only the fans will obviously they deserve the win. I think the fans deserve the win, but not only the fans deserve the win, but also it will be some momentum for some players, right? And I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. LA right now sits in uh, almost deadbeat last, right above Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean
But
Austin they beat last week.
right, but I do want to say, I mean, and again, don't ever underestimate any team. That's the problem. Also, yes, on paper we have a better team than LA Galaxy. On paper, probably yes, we do. They have Chicharito and Ricky Puig, but I think everyone that knows the sport knows what kind of level of players they've been in Europe and in different leagues, and they have really not been the it factor, right? Kind of like different than talking about Nani, Zlatan, Kaká. Those are different level players, right? Than those two guys that I just mentioned, right? They came almost close to defeat the darling of the MLS, which is LAFC. At El Tráfico, which was a great event. 3-2 they lost. They were close. That gave him the momentum to go and at home defeat Austin, which is another MLS darling with one of the best paid strikers in the MLS, Sebastian Driussi.
Also not having a good season. They're down
Right.
there with LA at the moment.
Correct. And now here comes Orlando City, right? Away. If they beat Orlando, you're breathing life. You're igniting that fire for them. Now we need to make sure that we are playing, like John was mentioning earlier, two defensive mids. That's what we need in the middle. Line of a line of four in the back. Now look at their lineup, right? This is the lineup that played against Austin, right? They got Boyd and they got Ricky Push playing the wing. He's a very fast player, but he's also very he looks for contact. That's the way he used to play in Barcelona. You touch him lightly, you press him hard, he falls, free kick. And they have a striker that is very good at set pieces, like Chicharito. I would say, not to disrespect any one of our strikers, but he's probably better on a set piece than most because he has the most experience. He played in the Premier League. He's played, in different teams. Now, in the back line, they got Neil and Cáceres. Cáceres, I thought he was already retired. He's not. He's playing the LA Galaxy. That to me could be a space for Orlando because Cáceres, his time of leaving the sport is near. We should have this game in our pocket. In several parts of our lineup, we have players that are younger, faster, stronger, and with a better present than some of these players. But hopefully, we get the W. And I don't know, if we don't get the W, it'll be catastrophic, I believe. I think.
Well, I think it's a very real possibility, Luis. I think that I don't feel very confident in us based on, what we saw from the last game. And I think that we need to go to that back four. I think if he tries to do the three center backs again, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be a 3-1. I don't think they know fully how to play that system. And like we said, they don't have the players to play that system. So it has to be the back four, and it has to be a solid defensive performance in order for us to be able to, get a few goals, get Duncan McGuire. Oh, might not be able to play. Also a factor, right? The only guy who's scoring for us at the moment might not be able to play. So I think we're struggling to score still, and we're looking more defensively weak. So I'm hopeful that we can get a win, but I'm very skeptical. It seems like we're playing down to our opposition. So if LA playing not so well, I don't know if that's really helping, right? If we can't beat DC, who are below us in the table, then that doesn't necessarily mean we could beat LA, even though they're having a bad time.
Yeah, I would say to me, my lineup would be a 4-2-3-1. Galese. I would say, four in the back. Well, Holiday is not ready, but I would say maybe Petrasso's back, hopefully, right? We can have Petrasso, Carlos, Jansen, Kyle Smith. Then we'll have, to me, I would say Araujo and Dagger Dan. I think this past two games could have been Dagger Dan's games to start. And it would have been great to see him. Araujo, Dagger Dan, the two defensive mids, with Dagger being your 8. And to me, I would put, for this game, you're talking about having a back line for LA that it's really not at their best. Obviously, I know that we've underperformed. Our backline has underperformed the past games, but they have a worst, in my opinion, worst backline. You put a dynamic player as your 10, and to me, I think that should be Facundo Torres. I would give Pereira a breather, bring him minute 65 or minute 70, and I will play on the wings Martin Ojeda on the right because he loves that, and then Ivan Angulo on the left. I don't know, what are your thoughts regarding that? And then up top, Erjan Kara. Will he be back, or Ramiro Enrique? Right, those are the two options. Go ahead, John.
I think, I think I agree entirely. I think the only thing you could maybe do, and this is just because I want to be really well. There's a few things. One, at left back, we could see Santos, right? If Petrasso's still not ready, he's not looked particularly great defensively. So again, another reason that you need two real solid defensive midfielders, because if you're going to play a potentially weak right back and a potentially weaker left back, we need to be really solid in front of those guys. We need Mikey Halliday back, obviously. I think that in front of them, those two, Dagger Dan and Arujo, makes sense. And then I agree that Facu at the 10, I think that you nailed it. I think he needs to have a conversation, or Oscar needs to have a conversation with him. I think maybe to say, like, look, you're going to play the 10, and I need you to be the creative guy from now on. I need you to be the guy that everything flows around in that attack, and leave Ojeda out on the wing to be free, and probably play Angulo on the other wing, and then I would go with Enrique. I think what you're saying about Cáceres being slow, which
Yeah,
guy's like 36, 37.
yeah,
Like
Cáceres. Look,
yeah, he's been around a while, and he has looked like there's been a few times where he's been very flat-footed and got burned. So I think maybe Enrique with some pipes in behind.
Yeah, and I will say this: Cáceres was being monitored and almost signed by a Peruvian team. That's how I know that he's on his way out, because I'll be honest, I mean, not to talk about the national team or the league, the Peruvian league, but it's not the best club level in South America. It's one of the worst, I'll say. And I'm Peruvian, I can say it. And for a player playing there, and then obviously LA Galaxy comes through. Oh, of course he's going to pick LA Galaxy. I mean, who doesn't want to play in the MLS at that age, right? So I think it'll be a great opportunity. But this is what I believe it needs to be done with Facu. Maybe he needs to have a little bit more of a leadership voice. I mean, he's a $13 million player. He's in all the posters. He's in all the jerseys. His jersey sells the most out of every other player. I think Pereira's a fantastic captain. But what if you give the responsibility? Because that's how you motivate some players, man. You know what I mean? I'm not saying put the armband on him. I'm just saying make him work for the armband, right? And at least maybe giving them that chance to maybe play that 10 position, like in Peñarol. Maybe it'll ignite a fire in him. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
With Mauricio, it's a bit of the Roy Kent situation. It's like sort of like, he's your boy. He's been playing you forever. He's the captain.
Of course, he's a great guy.
It's always hard to say.
Of course,
it's time for you to step aside, but like, a great captain knows when to do that. And I think also that maybe, I mentioned it before, maybe that's what Torres isn't able to be, that creative guy, because Mauricio is still on the field. Maybe Mauricio kind of has to step aside for Torres or someone else to take over that number 10 creative role, the general playmaker, whoever that may be. But I think we lack creativity when we play. And I think that we need to see more runs in the box. We need to see more creativity from all of our players. And I think Facundo's not nearly created as much as he had last year. And I think he's looking very stunted compared to last year. And something has to be done to change that, whether it's just him mentally, or whether it's a positional thing, or whether it's can't gel with the new players. I don't know. Whatever it is, Oscar has to figure it out, because right now he's the big player and he's not performing. Ojeda gets a little bit more of a pass, right? He's
right.
new. Like, it always takes a while to build into the season. I think also, Kara, it's got to be said, I think that he didn't look that great coming on this game, didn't really change the game much, didn't really affect the game much, right? So that's a minus in his book. This was his first chance after being out for a long time. He had to make an impression. And I don't see any argument to say, okay, put Carr back in the team. I think I'd rather, if McGuire's hurt, which it sounds like he's going to be out for a little bit, hopefully not too long. It was a hamstring, right?
Hopefully
We
not.
don't know 100% yet. They haven't had an official word, I don't think.
No,
But
and they're
if
not
he's
gonna
out,
say
then
they're
I
gonna
would go
say lower
Enrique.
lower injury, lower body
Yeah,
injury.
it looked like a minor thing because he seemed like it almost looked like he got subbed off tactically because he was walking off perfectly fine and he looks like healthy. So I was surprised that he got a little injury. But the same with Mauricio. Did he pick up a little knock as well? I heard someone say that maybe he came off for a minor
Yeah,
injury.
yeah, it was. Yeah, he picked up a little knock. Well,
So
it still is
maybe
uncertain.
we'll just see him dropped out of out of injury's sake, not out of form. But regardless, I think Dagger Dan deserves a chance, and if not Cartagena or Felipe, I think just anybody in that mid who's gonna run hard next to Rujo. We need two guys in there working hard to win back the ball and cover our back line, to be honest, because if they defend like they did last game, they need a lot of help in front of them for real, Luis.
Well, I have great news for City fans. Breaking news. In my other show, we have exclusiva, no, exclusive, right? Ricky Puig, that's how you pronounce his name, Ricky Puig. He's not going to play against Orlando. Yep, he's not going to play against Orlando.
Why is that?
He's apparently suspended for next weekend's match against Orlando City. It was due to accumulation of yellow cards. So Ricky
Well, that's great
Puig,
because he just scored in the last game, and he's like
yep,
their best
that's their
central
best.
midfielder. So
That's their
that's a plus
funtas.
for us.
That's their
Yeah,
funtas. That's
yeah, that's
their
great.
funtas. That's their Lucas Solerayan. That's their guy. That's their what's the guy, the German guy in Nashville? Mukhtar. That's our Hani Mukhtar. So it's great news for Orlando. Now, this doesn't mean that you do, play conservative, man. I think Orlando does better away because they play conservative. They play to the knockout punch. They play, to the counter attack. We're gonna be probably missing Duncan, which was our firepower. And I say with all due respect to all the other strikers, but and we're gonna probably play against without Mauricio. But maybe this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity, to ignite that fire in Facundo Torres too, right? Play him at the 10, guys. If Oscar's listening, profe, póngalo de 10 a Facundo. Play it on the 10. Play it at the 10. I think it'll be a great
And
opportunity.
why not, maybe even give Gaston a shout at that left wing instead of Angulo,
Correct.
right? I
Instead of
mean, it's
Angulo.
Angulo is playing that left-hand wing, cutting in on his right, but I think you actually would get more out of playing a left footer there, like Gaston, who would be able to do what he does, like has done the last two games, and play the out-and-out winger, put balls in from the left that Facu from the 10 or Ojeda can run into from the far side of the box. So I would say there's a debate who plays that other attacking midfield role, right? It's sort of, you've got Ojeda and Torres that are going to be in there until, that's a Eastern question, actually. At what point do you drop your DPs, right? If they say we go another 5 games and they still haven't scored, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But, is there an argument who said eventually that you got to drop a guy? Look at Jordan Shaqiri, can't play for, like there are DPs around the league who just aren't good. I don't think we have 2 of those, but maybe sometimes you got to get dropped. I hope it doesn't come to that, but it might do.
Look, no Ricky Puig. A time for Orlando to revindicate themselves in front of the fans, right? Revindication, shooting at some fire, a fire inside, hopefully, of Orlando City. And I would say it's about time, guys. I mean, with all due respect, the fans truly were upset out of that game. I could feel it. I was right below. I could see the section that has right below the press box, and there were people just walking out. Like, it was just a bad scene, right? But guys, again, this is soccer. right? It's unpredictability of the sport is it's crazy. We could tomorrow again maybe put 4 goals. Ercan Karma score a hat trick. You know what I mean? And then, and then we were like, what the hell just
And
happened?
then we look really stupid, like
Right?
that's yeah.
Completely dumb. But it's okay. It is part of the analysis. We have to analyze, and it's fine. But you know, after that, Orlando, you know, has some, you know, I mean, we still have, we're coming closer to the Leagues Cup and U.S. Open Cup and all of that. It's coming, right? And it'd be great to see, Alex Freeman. It would be great to see, some of the players from OCB maybe having a chance to, right, John, to have a break, right? Like Fabian Loyola. What if Fabian Loyola is our guy, right? I mean, um,
I think you don't know until you give these guys a chance, And I also think that it's about getting those minutes now for years in the future, right? So, Fabian's I don't think is going to come in the first team and suddenly start lighting it up anytime soon, but we want him to be able to get a bit of experience so that maybe next year he can play a bigger role. And then the year after that, maybe he's a starter or a sub, So that's how you grow. And I think that the OCB players, there are a few in there that deserve that, right? I think we've talked about Alex Freeman in the right back position. Why
yeah,
not?
why
We're
not?
struggling
I
for a right
agree.
back. Like, give him, maybe you don't want to start him, but at least give him like 20, 30 minutes in a game and see how he looks playing right back in MLS instead of, next pro. He's clearly doing very well at it at the lower level. So give him a shot up here.
Now, Nabi Kibunguchi, I think I pronounced his name, Nabi Kibunguchi.
Yeah,
He
2 goals in 10 minutes? What was it?
Yeah, and Orlando CDB remains undefeated at home with a 2-2 draw over NYCFC 2, and extended his home unbeaten streak to 3 games to start the season with a 2-2 draw. And they beat NYCFC by penalty kicks 8-7, right? Against a tough team like NYCFC 2, but I mean, Nabi scored one in the 21st minute and another one in the 27th minute, right? And then obviously at the death, pretty much, Nicolás Benalcázar from NYCFC scored the tie after free kick was struck to the crossbar, and then Bednarski was able to get the ball into the goal for Nicholas, right? So it's really, they're unbeaten at Osceola, OCB. It's the opposite as Orlando City. OCB is unbeaten at home. Guys, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't wait to see them play because, guys, here's what comes. May is going to be a month that will define, in my opinion, the rest of the season for Orlando City. Why? Because after LA, we go to Montreal, and we should maybe hopefully steal some points there, right? Against, that Montreal team doesn't know what they're playing to. They have a good team, but they don't know what they're playing. But then we have Columbus in Columbus. Tough matchup. And then we have 3 back-to-back derbies. We have one at home against NYCFC, which for all fans, it's a must win. Then you got Inter Miami, which I will be there covering. I will be there. I will travel to Miami for this game against a sold out, more than likely, Pink Stadium, sold out. And then you go back 1 week later, play against Atlanta United at home. 2 derbies at home. I don't think the fans will tolerate losses on either team, on either game, right, John?
I mean, the fans are not happy about it regardless. I think what it comes down to is how long how low do we fall down the table, and how much does the ownership tolerate, this season, and what their goals and expectations are. I think that, the Oscar in or Oscar out argument is one to be decided by the ownership, right? Like they know what they would have told Oscar, this is your expectations for the season. I think they've given him the whole season regardless. Also because his contract runs out at the end of the season. So unless they're in a burning desire to replace him mid-season because they have somebody better, like that for me is, if you've got somebody better and it's the middle of the season and you want to change them over now so that you can give the new coach a half a season to get involved in the club before the next season, that makes sense. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that we're going to see Oscar for the rest of the year, regardless of what happens, and then they'll make a decision at the end of the year. I think if he makes playoffs, there's every likelihood that they'll give him another shot. I think if he doesn't make playoffs, they're very likely to say it's time to go. They, like I said, they have expectations and goals. We as the fans don't know what they are. If anybody does know what they are, please tell me. I'd love to know. But those goals are in Oscar's contract. That's how they work with managers and GMs. So if he doesn't meet those goals, then he's up for review, and then they'll say, okay, well, we're not going to renew your contract, and that's it, right? But it won't happen until, I'm pretty sure it won't happen until the end of the season. And if they want to do something sooner, then they're not just going to get rid of him and go interim for half a year. I don't think that makes any sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make it, I mean, now the reason why I smile, guys, is because I'm a happy guy, guys. I mean, I don't want, and honestly, it's soccer, guys. I'm not talking about like life or death things. This is a sport in the end, right? And I feel very hopeful still, personally. But that's just my personal opinion, right? Just like everyone has its own.
Like,
right?
He's got a long time to turn it
Right.
around. There's every scenario in which Oscar turns this around.
Correct. Now, it's not our say, just like you said, right? But what have we seen in other clubs in Europe? Like, especially, for example, let's pick a club near to my heart, Chelsea. Disaster. It's like they change managers faster than changing underwear. Sorry. It's crazy. I don't think I believe the same thing as you. I think the front office will make a decision when they feel like it. And again, we're going to be here to support Orlando City, no matter what decision it is, because in the end, we love Orlando City, and we love what the club represents to a lot of people, and we believe that. So, but I wanted to thank Orlando City Communications, Favian, Loyola. I wanted to thank John. I want to thank you guys for all your comments. Drop us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell for notifications. If you're listening to this, thank you so much for supporting us, and vamos Orlando. We'll see you guys next week.
Vamos Orlando.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.